Hello, folks. Greetings again. Um, Welcome back to the class. So, of course, in the previous class, we kind of looked at business processes and then we kind of learned this business process management notation and we kind of understood what this notation is, where it is used, things like that. Okay. And I'm kind of thinking that this class and probably the next class, I'm going to draw out two real world processes. Okay. One process I want to show to you all just so that it's a little bit more familiar for you. So I'm going to take something really common and try to plot the process for that, right? And another process, I want to plot something that happens in the real world business, right? That I have uh, expertise in, and I can describe that domain too, that business domain too, in terms of modeling it. The reason why I wanted to two models is that one is something that you can relate to, and another one is how does it really work in the enterprise, right? How does it work in the business world? And again, I want to tell those people who are right now learning how to program in Excel, why is this important? Why is this important is that unless otherwise you understand business or information systems, it's very difficult for you to write software. Okay, and when I say information systems, what do I mean? So information system is a system that contains technology, people, and process. Okay, so people and process has been there from the origin of humanity, right? There's always people and processes. And if you actually study humanity, you'll also understand that there's always technology that connected these people and processes to fulfill certain things for people. Okay. So whenever I say business, I'm talking about information systems, right? Because information systems are the ones that provide humanity with the needed service that helps them reach higher goals in their life. Okay. Of course, I'm talking about the materialistic world. So that's how it is, right? So let's really start. I really want to start with you are all familiar with some of these websites like Fandango, which is the movie theater booking websites, right? Where you can search for a movie, figure out some sort of timing, then choose a movie theater, and from in the movie theater you just book your seats, and then the system provides you some sort of barcode, some sort of 3D code, 3D barcode, um, and then you take that barcode, print it out, go to the movie theater, and you get your tickets, right? So that is what I'm just going to show you, and of course, certain things I'm going to make up. By the way, I have built um, such software long before. Okay, so I know how it works to some extent, but I'm just going to make up things because I didn't work for Fandango, so I don't know how Fandango does their thing. But I did work. The very first commerce website that I built is a movie theater booking site. Okay, so I know how it works, so I can show you how it works. The reason why I took that is that because that you're very familiar with how movie ticket booking and things like that probably works, so then you'll relate with it, right? So let's start with I'm just going to come up with start with the silo. Make this silo a little bigger, or make it centered, and then make it a little bigger. Make it bigger. And generally for in this tool at least, you get a start event already. Okay, and this silo, I'm going to name it, I'm going to make it a little bigger so it's easy for you to see what's going on here. I'm going to call this as, I'm going to call it as customer. So as I said that, the customer, there are many functions. Let's just model just the how you the process of booking, right? The customers may come to the website, register themselves, they forgot their password, they can recover their password. There's so many other things that you can do, right? But I'm just going to assume, at least for this class, that they're already, this is a registered customer, okay? They are in the website, okay? So let's plot the parts where they will do their booking because they want to. They saw a very nice, they heard about a very nice movie that's going to be released, and they said that okay, I'm going to book tickets for my family, right? So what will they be doing, right? So that is the start of the event is the customer wants to book tickets, okay? So the first thing that they will do, this is what the customer will do, their task, okay? They will be search for a particular movie, okay? Okay, so they are telling, hey, search for the movie, okay? Now you'll have to understand that the granularity of your process, right? Okay. The granularity of your process depends on at what level you are actually trying to document the business process, okay? Sometimes things can get really granular, especially if you're building software and you want to understand what your software should do, then you go at a very granular level, right? But if you're, there are business executives, they're sitting there, they don't care about the details, they probably care about the bottom line, and some major, the high level processes, then you keep it high level, right? It's up to you. So when they search for a particular movie, what will happen, right? Now I am going to, and remember that this process itself, I can call this as a user task because, oh, so it doesn't change this into user task. So let's see. Okay, okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to copy that, put it in here, delete that, and we got a user task. Okay, just to indicate that this is a manual task that somebody is doing, right? Searching for a particular movie. Now, I am going to add one more silo here. And let's see. And this silo is really needed because I need to um, represent the, I'm just going to call it as a movie web. Let me call it as movie app because we don't know whether it's a web app or a mobile app. How do we know, right? So I'm just going to call it as movie app. Okay. So they're searching for a particular movie. Then I am thinking that there is a data store that contains um, some sort of, let me call this as movie data store, okay, or database. So there's some sort of movie database that's available, okay, and there is a data store. Um, and what really happens is that, so I need to start another task, and that task is a service task. And the service task actually does not belong to the user. It actually belongs to um, the movie app, right? So this what the task it does is retrieve movie info. And how does it retrieve? It retrieves it from this particular database, right? And so let me put an arrow. It retrieves it from the database, and then it provides a movie list. So it kind of goes there. So here you got to be careful about your flow. The flow is basically as you model it, right? So you cannot say that, hey, it's going to retrieve it. After retrieving it, what does it do, right? And so you can kind of say that, okay, after retrieving it, well, I want to create another task here. Build a show calendar. Okay, just basically you're kind of getting the the schedule of that particular movie, right? And then it gets returned back, right? So the show calendar is being shown to the user, right? And what the user does is he or she select, well, maybe before that I should say um, retrieve movie info and then build um, like theater list. So because the movie uh, might be there, but might be available in multiple theaters, right? So you just build a list of theaters, and so build theater list and schedule. Okay, so it's building both the theater list and schedule, and returns that back to the user. Okay, now the user select theater and schedule. Okay, now I could make it a select theater, then build the schedule, and then build. I can do that way too. But just to be brief, I'm doing it that way. And now what happens is you should. uh, There's an arrow. Okay, and I'm going to make it from here. It doesn't like it. Yeah, now it's good. Okay, and so you allowed to understand that when when the when your process goes across boundaries, then things get these dot arrows comes into play. Okay, so that these arrows have some meaning. Just keep it that way. Now this is also a service task, and I made a mistake here, so I'm just going to so I'm going to take that out, make it a little bigger, put it here. I gotta put it here. take the arrow from here to here, and maybe bring it here like that. Take the arrow from here to here. Okay, so I select the theater and schedule. Then that's the movie database. Now, generally, in these movie theater applications, what happens is that I'm just going to put retrieve available seats. Okay, and I'm just going to put another store here. And again, these data stores, you want to put it, you can put it. You can also just say that, well, that's understood. But I'm just going to put a retrieve available seats, and that one connects from there to there, and this guy connects from there to there. So the only problem here is, well, let me do this way. I got to remember that these are all, automated service tasks. So well, I think it copied it. Okay. And this one is, I'm going to say it's seat something like that. Okay. Now, in reality, usually we used to have a layout file, because you also need to know how the seats are laid out, right? And then the seats themselves, so that both gets together and you retrieve the data. I'm just going to say, yeah, so that's in and in the process, right? So I'm just going to say that it's a seat map. Okay, so you got that. And then the user, on the other hand, there's a user task. This is the customer. Customer selects seats. Okay, and that's what happens. And I got to have a service task here that says display seat layout, and that comes from this guy. And then what happens is, given that, the customer selects a seat or seats. Okay, so as soon as the customer selects the seat, then customer enters payment information. And here I am going to create, just to demonstrate, I'm going to create a I'm trying to think about this. I am going to create a event-based gateway. Okay, and why I'm creating an event-based gateway is that when the customer enters the payment information, um, there is an event that will go to the payment system, right? Let me see what kind of event gets thrown in there. What is that event? Let me see. Okay, yeah. So I'm sending this event, and I can tell that as, I can just mark it as, okay. I'm going to say send payment info. Okay. So now you can see. Yeah, I hate this thing. Okay. Let's see. Can I do it like that? Okay, send payment info, and these nodes can be anywhere. Okay, it can be inside, outside, doesn't matter. And so I'm generating one event that kind of sends payment info, right? And I'm generating another event. What is going on? Let me see. Okay, here's another event, and that event is book seats. Okay, let me tell it's. Now I could make this as a parallel event, parallel gateway, event gateway. This is event based gateway, right? I could also make it as a parallel gateway. Event based gateways are by nature parallel, because you're generating an event to send payment information, and you're also generating an event to book seats. Now there is a detail that I'm missing here, is that once you send the payment information, you got to get the payment confirmation, right? Only then you might have to book the seats, right? But I'm not going into too much into details here. I just want to show you how a gateway works. Okay, now this event obviously is triggering a task. Events usually trigger a task. Okay, and that's triggering a, and I'm going to call it as a service task. It says book seats, and so that actually comes from that event. But it sounds like events, it cannot cross boundaries. Let me see if it can cross boundaries. Yeah, it's not allowing to cross boundaries. Let me see. Okay, or maybe that's not a. Let me try this. Let me try this. Yeah. So you see that the event gateway does not cross boundaries. So I'm just going to change this. Let me change it. I am going to make this as, let's try a parallel gateway. Well, let me do this, okay? So the user enters payment information. Let me do this. I'm going to do it in a different way. I'm going to create a service task here. It says send payment info. And that might end there, right? I don't want to describe the payment. You see, that's the thing. I don't want to describe the payment information um, in the model, right? So I'm just going to say send payment info. And from there, I'm just going to draw. This is an interim event, right? So there's an interim event that goes to the payment system. And then I am going to create another interim event that is the payment confirmation that comes from there. Okay, that's the event. I got the payment confirmation. Then I am going to create another service task called book tickets. Okay, and I am going to, from there, I'm going to put it here. Now you can always do this. Let me show you. So you generated the payment event, right? You can do a gateway, like an exclusive gateway, right here. Okay, and I'll tell you why this exclusive gateway is interesting. So if the payment is authorized, right? So generally what you can do is you can put a message box in there and say if authorized. If the payment is authorized, then you go and book the tickets. Okay. And that gets, so you're updating the seat map store to book the tickets. If the payment is not authorized, then you are saying present payment error. Okay. And I have an arrow from here to here. Yeah, do it like that. If it is authorized, you go here. If it is not authorized, you present payment error. And then the user will have to and I'm going to put an arrow like that, and I'm going to say, I'm going to give an explanation for this one. So the user is re-enters payment info. Like, they presented a card, the card number didn't go through well, or they, put some security code wrong, something happens, or you're presenting an error, and then the user basically enters the information in. So that's a closed process that's going on there. Okay. Now I'm going to change this, make it smaller a little bit, and then move this up a little bit. And then obviously there has to be another silo. I generally like them to be aligned equally. Okay. Some people do it a different way. I like to do it this way. Okay. So when you book the tickets, okay, the theater actually prints the tickets and keeps it. Okay. Now, it's also possible that when the customer comes, the ticket is given to them, but uh, I'm saying that um, the user just keeps the ticket with that. Okay. So when the user comes, is the ticket is pre-printed is what I'm trying to say here. Let's put that here, and I'm going to call this as movie theater. Okay, so that's one process where you're printing the tickets and keeping it. Um, Now, after booking the ticket, the users can say print um, QR code. Okay, and I'm just going to put, so the QR code gets printed after by the customer after they receive it. Okay, I made things a little complicated, and then there is an end. The event ends because the process is complete as far as this person is concerned. Okay, this ticket booking process is concerned, right? Okay, so you now get an idea of how all of these things work, right? How do you model a business process, right? Now, do you really think that you will sit in a room and you will make this process up? Chances are, I mean, once you are in a particular domain, you probably can do it, right? You can do it on your own. In the last 15 years, I've been working on one domain. I'm a software engineer, I'm a lead software engineer, but I work on one domain, right? So I know in and out of every little exception, every little thing that's going on. So if I'm drawing the process diagram for my own system, I can probably sit and do it. But in real world, in real business, the way it works is, and I've done this multiple times on my own. I've also participated in this kind of process many times, right? And I'll come and tell you those processes. There are multiple processes that you can do, right? One of the things that you generally happens is that you bring all the stakeholders, all the business SMEs in one room, and you build this thing. So there'll be a big, large whiteboard. So you won't be doing this. Sometimes you can have a big screen and then project this thing up there and then type it out. The advantage of doing that is you have a picture, you have a digital picture of what's going on. Now you can also do it with like post-it pads, get a lot of pads and then put it on a whiteboard, just stick it, okay, write on it, use markers, write on it, stick it, and then you can draw the arrows and stuff. That is when you will be surprised that it's not a straightforward thing like this. There's a lot of people will come in, and there will be disagreements between business SMEs on how this process works. So you kind of go back and forth and model this whole thing as you do it. So you'll actually be doing it in a room with a lot of people. And we used to have, so there's you have JAD sessions, they used to call it, as it's joint application development. That's if you're doing application development, then you have a JAD session where everybody is coming and sitting and doing this. Now, of course, to actually define a business process also, you can do it this way, right? And sometimes I've seen in one company where I was working, there was like 100 people sitting in the room, and we were just mapping out a huge process, right? It's a whole day exercise. Had we got breakfast, lunch, and then in the evening we go back. So that, like that also, people may do this kind of business process modeling. Okay. Now, before I finish off, I know that there's a lot of information here. Before I finish off, you can see that some of these processes may be painful. See, for example, there's a movie theater list and schedule, right? And then there is a retrieve available seats. You see that? There is a retrieve available seats, and then display seat layout. Now, generally what happens is the movie theaters have to kind of provide theater layouts, okay? And they kind of need to provide that. I need to start another, that's a different process, but I'm just showing it here so that you can understand that there is another process that updates this database, right? And that's possible because then only you can show the seat layout. Now, there are chances that the theater has renovated the layout, but the new layout does not yet come here. Now, that might cause a confusion, right? Or there may be a process where this whole payment, present payment error, this whole process is painful, right? In those cases, it's possible for you to, like, let's say, color code it like red, okay? So let's say that these two tasks are the most painful tasks in your process. You just put it as red, right? So you can use color codes. You can add more text, plain text data in wherever you want to add plain text data. You can do all those kind of things to make to demonstrate, to kind of record or document the pain points in your process, right? So and you're on your own with all these kind of things. Now, that's why I said that when you're actually trying to understand the business process, then you go through that kind of exercise, right? But if you're actually trying to document the business process and just store it somewhere, there are companies, which my company, all the business processes are defined, documented, and stored in a database. So anytime I want to understand a process, I need to go to the database and retrieve the process and actually see what's going on, right? So if you're documenting the process, maybe the pain points are not documented or the painful processes are not documented. But if you're not documenting it, if you're just trying to understand, then you can put the painful processes in here, okay? And you can so when you do this, there is also, and it's not there in this software, there are ways in which people will actually simulate this. They will start an event, trigger an event, and see how the arrows go, out where all the arrows go, right? And there'll be a simulation that will go on. They will actually say that, hey, this one takes 3 seconds, this one takes 3 days, things like that, right? So you can study your business process in various ways you want. And also you can see, you can look at these processes and say that, hey, this process doesn't even make sense, right? um, they're sending payment information, and you're presenting payment error, and if authorized, you're booking the tickets. What if another customer has already come, and they've already booked the ticket while this whole process is going on? How are you going to stop it? Those are questions you can ask, right? So there is a concurrency question on what happens there. So maybe there is a process in between that says that, temporarily just book the tickets, so that seat is, so as soon as you display, as soon as the user selects the seat, even though the payment is not yet done, just temporarily book the seats so that nobody touches that seat. You go and do the payment authorization. After the payment is authorized, make that seat reservation permanent. But if the payment is not authorized, just release the seats out, right? Or keep the seats available for few other payment retries. And after a few retries, you just say that, hey, I'm just going to release the seat, go back from the beginning, right? So these are things that you can do, and that's improvement in process. So improvement in the business process. Now that could be also improvement in the software itself that does this, the movie app itself. So see, half of this thing is done in the movie app, right? So the movie app itself can have some improvements in processes and improvement in software, right? So those are things that you can, once you visualize, once you see that visually, a lot of stakeholders will start thinking, man, is this how complicated our process is? Should we simplify it? So those kind of questions can be answered through these processes. Okay, I think this is good enough. I am going to show you in the next class a much more complicated process than this in the real world. This is a little bit made up, and of course, we also kind of skipped some of the details because it's too much. This itself is probably too much, but you kind of get an idea of how you build these BPMN models. So what I would recommend is take something that you are familiar with, like, you're going and booking for a hotel, or booking for a rental car, right? Airline booking. So some of the things, see, a lot of these things that we do in our life, we deal with all kinds of businesses, right? Even the whole loan process that we learned in the previous classes, you can create models like this. So play around, create models. And I will put it this way, right? In IT, if you're in the IT world, uh, you understand hardware, you understand software, you are a great programmer, you understand algorithms, all that is great. But unless or otherwise you have an idea about what the user's domain is, right? The business domain of the user. If you don't get a clear idea of that, and if you're not interested in that, you're not going to grow a lot in your career, because the career growth um, for software developers is mostly in, and I know that sometimes you are in a different domain, you're in embedded systems, or you're in developing games and stuff. Even there, you got to understand the domain very well. So if you have a good understanding of the domain, then all that great knowledge that you have about programming and algorithms and hardware and software and technology will be very useful. Business will be ready to pay for it, pay for what you're doing. Right? If you don't have a very good understanding, but you're a great programmer and you can apply algorithms and you can create very efficient programs, after some time you're not that useful. You understand what I mean? So therefore, it is important for even for software engineers, which I am one of them, to understand business processes and also gain some skills on these kind of notation, so that you can define these processes. Now, for other set of people, like the business analyst and system analyst and data analyst, this is your bread and butter. So you need to know this and a lot more notation than this one, right? And the world is filled with notation. I'll put it that way, right? The reason why these notations are important is, see, the moment you see something visually, your brain works better. Okay, if you the same, all of this thing can be put in one Word document, or it could be in a PowerPoint as many slides. It's hard to understand. If you put all these things together in one picture, now you understand, oh, I have three of these silos where things happen, and there's interaction between all of this, and I get a better picture. Okay, so that's the purpose of this. So go ahead, and if this is a free tool, so create your own different processes. Now I want to show you something where I have never tried this, so I'm going to try this one. See, it actually downloaded a picture. That's really nice. You see, I got a picture of these, and there's no watermark here. You see that? Okay, so this is great. You can take this picture and paste it in your document or in your PowerPoint, and everybody knows how this process works, right? Okay, that said, I'm just going to say thank you, and we'll meet in the next class. Again, if you have any comments, if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section, and I will try to answer them. Thank you.